بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Do not shelve the Quran on the shelves, salvage the Quran for yourselves. This is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amongst the sifat of Quran and names of the Quran is Rahmah. قل بفضل الله وبرحمته. Say through the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وبرحمته, and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mujahid, Qatada, etc. say the fadl of Allah is Iman. What the fadl of Allah, and mercy refers to Quran. So this Quran is a mercy for us. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ. It is a mercy. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. It is a mercy. It is a means of compassion. It is a means of benevolence. It is a mercy for the ummah. So to recite the Quran, to ponder on its meaning, etc., and to practice on Quran and make tabligh will draw the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Qari. I am reading this Quran, Ya Allah, let me be encompassed with your mercy, so that I practice, so that I propagate, and whatever mercies should be descending on the recite of the Quran, Ya Allah, don't make me mahroom. More than that, Quran, Allah is Rahman and Rahim, Quran is Rahmah. Ya Allah, make me also Rahim. Grant me the sifat of a Rahim. Encapsulate in me the qualities of Rahmah. So, Quran is a means of Rahmah. We should draw from this Rahmah, and we should have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Losing hope is from shaitan. Na'udhu billah, sometimes a person considers even committing suicide. This is tantamount to denying the qudrat and the power of Allah. And a person presumes death will solve my problems. Means they have more yaqeen in death than in the zat of Allah, the living, all living, everlasting. So we need to have yaqeen in the zat of Allah, the sifat of Allah, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the desire to meet Allah. And I need to meet my Allah when He is happy with me. I cannot live in this world. So a person cannot consider ending their life when they haven't started a relationship with Allah. So pessimism is from Iblis, and optimism is from Allah. Al-Iman bayna raja wal khawf. No matter what the condition, no matter what guna you are in, no matter how far off you are, there is always hope. Losing hope is from Iblis. So we have to have this yaqeen. They say that there was a shoe manufacturer who sent sales reps to different parts of Australia to see if they could bring some business amongst the Aborigines. So obviously, since they wanted to expand and they needed to get their product out further, the reps went out. So when the reps did their work, they came back and they gave a report. So the first person said, no business here, natives don't wear shoes. No business here, natives don't wear shoes. But the second one said, great opportunity here, natives don't wear shoes. Great opportunities here, natives don't wear shoes. So a pessimist is the one who makes difficulties of his opportunities, and an optimist is the one who makes opportunities out of his difficulties. So we need to be optimistic of Allah Rabbul Alameen. The word Rahmah, Lughaween, the experts have explained and identified iradatu isalil khair lil ghair, the intention to grant and bestow goodness to others. Isalul khair lil ghair, subhanallah. والرحمة إنعام وإفضال وإحسان. It is favor, it is generosity, it is giving preference to others. Other scholars have said بذل الخير والمعروف والإحسان لمن هو في حاجة إليه. Spreading goodness, favor to the one who is in need of that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahman and is Rahim. Rahman and Rahim. So these are sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Athir has mentioned with regards to these name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that both Rahman and Rahim come from the word Rahmah. So the asal, the original from on the linguistic part, and they are more for emphasis. But Rahman is more of a superlative, a more higher degree than Rahim. Why? Rahman is khas for Allah. So you cannot, and he explained, cannot use the word Rahman for any other being besides Allah. Unlike Rahim, where you can use it for Allah and for other entities as well. Rahma means sifati dhat lillah, and Rahma is from the qualities of the Zat of Allah, the being of Allah. And Rahman is a sifat, a quality. But the meaning of Rahma is encapsulated here. So firstly, Rahma for the creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful to the creation. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ. If it wasn't the fadl of Allah and His rahmah. وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah's mercy encompasses everything. There was a lady who was giving her child, breastfeeding the baby. Then Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, using this as an example, said like how this mother is worried about her child and fulfilling the needs of the child. أَتَرَوْنَ هَذِهِ طَارِحَةً وَلَدَهَا فِي النَّارِ. Is it possible for her to throw this child in Jahannam, in the fire, in a blazing flame? قُلْنَا لَا. It's not possible. لَاللَّهُ أَرْحَمُ بِعِبَادِهِ مِنْ هَذِهِ بِوَلَدِهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more merciful than a mother to their child. Nabi alayhi salam was trying to draw the attention of Sahaba to the mercy of Allah. Don't ever lose hope. No matter what, you are an infant, you are in need all the time. Your needs will end when your life ends. Because after that, it will be what you did at that time when you were alive. We will be in need of Allah at every stage in Akhirat as well. But at that time, nothing can be done. So show our need in front of Allah. Inna Allah kataba kitaban qabla an yakhluqa al-khalq. Before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created creation, Inna rahmati sabaqat ghadabi. Allah had written that my mercy surpasses my anger. فَهُوَ مَكْتُوبٌ عِنْدَهُ فَوْقَ الْعَرْشِ. And it is written by Allah, by the arsh. So this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should not lose hope. الراحمون يرحمهم الرحمن ارحموا من في الأرض. So this sifat of Rahman, we shouldn't ever lose hope. جعل الله الرحمة 100 جزء. Allah created 100 portions of mercy. فأمسك عنده 99. 99 has been kept for Allah. وأنزل في الأرض جزءا واحدا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed one for the entire creation. So all the mercy that you see on earth is this one portion. Ibn Qayyim rahmatullah has mentioned an interesting point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is such that even by bringing difficulties on a servant and imtihan, that is a favor from Allah. So when you are going through difficulties, consider it a bounty. For example, a person's got a personal trainer. He's putting you through hardship. He's putting you through difficulties. He's not there to punish you. Doctor gives you, Hakim gives you medicine. It's very bitter. It's hard. He's not there to torture you. He's not taking pleasure on seeing you go through these difficulties, but it's there for your benefit. فَمَنَعَهُمْ لِيَعْطِيَهُمْ Allah deprived them so that He can favor them. Allah withheld so that He could be more generous. وَابْتَلَاهُمْ لِيُعَافِيهِمْ Allah has put them into difficulties so that they'll be saved from difficulties. They'll be preserved. وَأَمَاتَهُمْ لِيُحْيِيهِمْ And Allah has given them death to give them life. And then He says, وَمِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ بِهِمْ أَنْ حَذَّرَهُمْ نَفْسَهُ Amongst the mercies, Allah has warned you about the sifat of Allah, the greatness of Allah, and the retribution when you preach the awamir of Allah. لِأَلَّا يَخْتَرُّوا بِهِ Don't be deceived. Allah is merciful, but He has told you that don't push it to the limits. So part of that is أَنزَلَ لَهُمْ كِتَابًا the divine scriptures, وَأَرْسَلَ لَهُمُ الرُّسُلِ and Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam. So a believer takes advantage of these bounties. فَصَارَ الْقُرْآنِ لَهُمْ هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً For the people of Iman, this Qur'an becomes a means of hidayat and mercy. But for a kafir, they don't have hidayah. فَصَارَ لَهُمُ الْقُرْآنِ هُدًى بِلَا رَحْمَةً This Qur'an is still a means of hidayat, but they won't get the mercy that has been intertwined with the Qur'an. Secondly, قَبُولُ التَّوْبَةِ وَالْعَفْوِ that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the tawbah of the ta'ib. فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ Adam alayhi salatu wassalam made tawbah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his tawbah. إِنَّهُ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ فَإِن كَذَّبُوكَ فَقُلْ رَبُّكُمْ ذُو رَحْمَةٍ Allah is the one of mercy. وَرَبُّكَ الْغَفُورُ ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ Allah is the epitome of mercy. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَقْبَلُ التَّوْبَةَ عَنْ عِبَادِهِ Allah is the one who will accept your tawbah, so turn to Him. وَيَعْفُو عَنِ السَّيِّئَاتِ and He's ready to delete all your gunas. Thirdly, التشريع من رحمة الله بعباده Sharia deen, the commands of Allah is a mercy for us. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِصَاصِ Allah has written the laws and stipulated regulations. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل All of these are mercy. Number 4, إرسال الرسل وإنزال الكتاب Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam coming and bringing a book for guidance is a mercy. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً You are a mercy to humanity. Number 5, Thawabul Mu'minin the reward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives for those that do good deeds was sabirin and being patient, and the reward Allah gives for being patient is part of the mercy of Allah. So Allah has favored us that doing this action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you this and Allah will give you this, and when difficulties come you'll be patient, Allah will give you this. This is a favor from amongst the mercies of Allah. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ When difficulties, hardships come, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. These people who do this and they are patient, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ So this is a mercy, a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is there, let us turn to Allah. Dunya and the systems of the dunya and the people of the dunya are there to abuse us, to take advantage of us, illa mashallah. So we need to be cautious. Shaitan is there, nafs is there. So we need to connect to this Allah and have yaqeen in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they don't get caught up. So the more a person gets closer to Allah, he becomes more merciful. And the further he gets away from Allah, he becomes opposite, contrary to that. They say two people were discussing their mutual acquaintance, somebody that they knew, probably they were Jewish businessmen. So one said, I put him on his feet. He spoke with a lot of proudness, that haughtiness. I put him on his feet. So the other said, what? You did that? You got a reputation of being hard-hearted. You are savage when it comes to generosity and helping out people. How come you put him on his feet? This must be a special case. Tell me your story. So he said, because he couldn't keep up with his payments, I repossessed his car. He couldn't keep up with the payments, so I repossessed his car. I put him on his feet. So a person becomes worse off when they taluk with Allah, becomes distant. Likewise, we shouldn't be deceived by the calmness, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والعاجز من أتبع. Follow your desires and then hopeful. Allah will forgive me. He is merciful. He's the one that overlooks. So the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just sifat and Allah is generous and the dunya is coming, and we see, oh, you know what, I'm loving the life, then we shouldn't be deceived by the calm, because there may be a storm. Allah protect one and all. So we live in this fake world of ambitions, fake dreams, fake aspirations. We don't realize I need to change. The time is not to change tomorrow, next week when I get set. The time is now. So advancing to Allah should be our priority. How come we don't see the light? Is there so much darkness that we cannot see the light? So we shouldn't be caught up in this deception. They say a lady told her friend that she was boasting about my husband. She was boasting about her husband. She said, my husband, he goes to the psychiatrist twice a week. The friend said, is that good? Is it something praiseworthy? She said, good, what you talking about? This is on top of the world. Not only does he pay $35 an hour, but he's paid this money only to talk about me. He really loves me so much. He's so infatuated with me that the only thing he does, talk to the psychiatrist about is me. I'm on top of this world. I can't believe my husband loves me so much. So which page is she on? What is she not seeing right? How blind can you be? So we shouldn't be like that also. We need to see with the eyes of Quran and Sunnah, not the eyes that have fell for the scam of nafs and shaitan. So Quran is a mercy, no matter where we are. Quran is a mercy, and a part of that mercy. In the year 863 AH to 919, King Mehmood, who ruled Gujarat, and he had a lot of reforms and progress with regards to Deen and Islam. So he was amongst his leaders and with the advisors, etc. On the 26th night of Ramadan, then the ulama mentioned the fadail of the hafiz of Quran. When the day of Qiyamah, the sun will be above the heads, people will be in a state of panic. But a hafiz of Quran will have special virtues. So when he heard this, he thought, but none of my family are huffaz to give me this great honor, the parents of a hafiz. So his son Khaleel Khan was present as well. After each salat, he went to the place where he lived and he started engagement with regards to memorization of the Quran. He exerted himself so much that his eyes turned red, and doctors, when they gave a diagnosis, they said it was because he's not sleeping a lot, there's no sickness. So Khaleel said, what if my eyes have gone red? The redness of this dunya will grant me more radiance in akhirat. I will not decrease the time I spend with Qur'an. So in a year, in a few months, he memorized the entire Qur'an. And just before Ramadan, he went to the king and asked permission to read Taraweeh. So the king said, when did you ever memorize the Qur'an? Because he carried out his responsibilities as a prince. He executed it perfectly. So then he reminded his father about what happened in Ramadan, and he told him what had transpired. So he was very happy. So Khaleel started on the first night of Ramadan, and he recited the entire Quran on the first night. He did it on the second and third. Until 16 nights of Ramadan, he completed 16 khatams. And the king listened every night, and he used to embrace his son, kiss him on the forehead, and he gave him a lot of dua. And then he used to say, how can I possibly express my gratitude to Khaleel, my beloved son, who has protected our forefathers from the difficulties of the day of Qiyamah. And he used to take him and seat his son on the royal throne. So imagine the son was a prince in the lap of luxury, but he realized his responsibility. Such a great vast kingdom, but he understood priority. Likewise, my father had grief. I need to remove the grief of my father. So parents, what worries and concerns are we removing from them? Likewise, he read the Quran in an entire night for 16 nights. So what task they achieved? Not only was he Hafiz of Quran, but he took over the kingdom. And he was very particular about Sunnah, Mustahabat acts. He was particular about Wudu. Once he had a lot of taqwa. His horse that he used to use fell ill. There was some issues. And despite all medical treatment, nothing worked. So the doctor gave the horse wine. When he heard about that, he stopped riding that horse completely. So such taqwa. One day he was reciting Quran. He had a habit of reading a lot of Quran. And he came across the ayat of Qiyamah. So one of the scholars was there, tried to console him. They don't worry, that's not for you. He replied, but the scales on the day of Qiyamah. This is why I'm crying. I have to give Hisab Kitab. He would go and see and check his subjects. And despite being a king, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Jummah, his advisors, etc. came to visit him, and he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he recited the following verse, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulki wa 'allamtani, verses which Yusuf alayhi salam read. You have granted me kingdom, taught me interpretations of dreams, etc. Allah has given me all of this. I cannot conceive. People can go leave and prepare for Jummah, and I will read my Dhahar, but I will not be Asr. I will be reading somewhere else. And saying this, he engaged in ibadah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him away on the day of Jummah between Dhahar and Asr. These are the people that sacrificed for the deen of Allah. We need to check ourselves. May Allah give us tawfiq wa making amal wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.